are you? How the heck are you?
We're going to do a podcast.
So let's get a little deeper into your story, shall we? Who are you?
Well,
that becomes a sticky wicket. You know, what's your juice? Let's get back on track. You've got a lot of things going on. What is it that you're curious about? What are you doing?
Run the world.
Right? Well,
like, let's crumble up some philosophy for you.
boom, 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 boom. It's been a whirlwind for you. What is it that supercharges you about this? Lots going on, lots coming up. Or is that too many stuff? Did I ask too many questions?
No, not too many questions.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business, the Chamber Podcast. I'm Moe Belliveau. I'm your host, and this is where I get to chat with folks about who they are, what they do, and why they do it. Folks like Chamber members, local thought leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs, and that sort of thing. Before we get rolling, I want to say thank you to eMedia. We are in their studios, and they are the ones who make us and look good and sound good. I want to thank, in particular, Jeff Mastriani, who is executive director. I want to thank Jackson Foote, he is production coordinator, and Tim Riley, who is operations manager. So thanks, guys, for making us look so fabulous all the time. And I'm super excited to have with us today Bozena Dabek. She is Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer for BankESB.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
super thrilled to have her here today because we're going to be talking about the Chamber's Women's Conference, which is She Leads, and that's coming up in June 16th. And Bozena has been with us, has attended since 2017.
Yes.
And we also thank BankESB, who has always been such a strong supporter of that program. So without further ado, let's get into it. How the heck are you, Bozena?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Mo. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity for BankESB also to sponsor such a wonderful event. 5th year.
Yeah. And I'm super grateful and thankful to BankESB for being such a strong, committed supporter, enthusiastic.
Thank you.
And helping us move that forward. So let's get into it, shall we?
Sure.
All right. So maybe you could help us understand a little bit, give us a little glimpse into who you are.
Sure.
Who are you?
Sure.
Bozena
Who is
Dabek?
this Bozena with a difficult Polish name?
I love it. It's so beautiful. I love the way it just rolls off.
Yes. Thank you. So yes, Mo, I'm how should I describe? First generation Polish American. That was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that about you.
Yes. So 20 years here in Easthampton, proudly living in Easthampton with my husband and family.
Nice.
And it's awesome. And so now this is going to be the 13th year at BankESB.
Wow.
Yes. And in my role, Chief Administrative Officer, it includes human resources,
Yep.
Learning and development, also compliance, audit, and risk management. So there's a lot there.
Yeah.
And a little bit of that has to do with my background coming into this role, having a background in accounting and finance. But the learning and development component is all about how to keep the employees, help them be engaged, help them advance their career, help them figure out what that career should be. Building a curriculum, not just on technical skills, but also on the soft skills. And that's why this whole program, the Leadership Conference for Women, fits perfectly into our curriculum for the women. We have a little over 70% women at BankESB, yes. So close to 190 we have out of 265. So that's a very large percentage of our workforce, and a very strong group of women that really enjoy the support that they get through the conference.
Nice. All right. So let's just dive right into this. I would like to know what initially inspired you to attend the Women's Conference, and what motivates you year after year to just keep coming back?
Yeah.
And you know what? Your enthusiasm hasn't died since day one.
Oh, I love it. I just love it.
Yeah.
It's because we always look for opportunities to build out the development of women within our workforce, and I've looked all over the years, been to large conferences out east in different cities, and to have such a high quality program that focuses on the needs of women locally here in Easthampton. The reason why I'm excited is that I can bring in so many more women into this experience as compared to having such a conference in a different part of the state or a different state altogether.
Right.
So that was my first initial reaction was, wow, look at this agenda and look at what it has to offer, and that now I can bring in 30 to 40 women every year.
I know, it's amazing.
It is.
It's really amazing. Can you maybe describe some of those, what qualifies for you as a high quality experience?
Yes. I think it's the topics. The topics. You have evolved, just as women leadership has evolved over time. You've evolved to meet the needs and address the needs of women. And so you started out women in the art of risk, right? A more broad concept, focusing on that the first couple of years. And now I feel as though you're peeling back the onion now and looking more closely at, like, for example, this year, the theme, Know Your Worth.
Right.
So first it's about taking risk, a more broad concept, but now, okay, how do we prepare women to take that risk, to know their worth, to acquire the different skills, and know also that it's not just them. Sometimes when you're experiencing something, you think it's just you.
Right.
But it's not just you. Other women are experiencing the same thing, and so you address that. So there are a couple of topics that definitely touched me personally and reminded me, even as my career progressed, what was it that was important, and things that you kind of describe that I didn't even realize was a thing or had a name to it. For example, the imposter syndrome, right? When Dr. Young went over her book, The Secrets of Successful Women, Secret Thoughts of Successful Women, and the fact that she zeroed in on, wow, women often do not apply for jobs unless they know close to 100% they think they know 100% of the job description.
Right.
Whereas men will take more risk.
Right.
Maybe 50% of the job description they're familiar with. And then oftentimes when women do achieve that success, then they're thinking, gee, will they know maybe I'm not qualified? Maybe they'll figure me out, even though they're very successful, but somehow deep down there's this feeling of being an imposter. So that is why I think that the conference is so, what you say, qualified to be a high quality, is that you're bringing in authors, you're bringing in those that with experience that can talk about these topics.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And I especially love this year the topic of Know Your Worth, because it's can be such a broad topic of a category, because it's not just about necessarily money. And so hopefully we're going to be touching on lots of different aspects of what that means.
Right.
Yes,
because it's more than that. It's knowing kind of when I saw the theme, knowing what your value proposition is.
Right.
And like you said, it's not just the financial side.
No.
It's how can you make a difference, and identifying that, and how you distinguish yourself from the woman next to you. It's very, very powerful.
Right. And how we do that and still stay in support of each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Because I have to say that in my early career, which was a long time ago, my experience as a young woman working in a large corporation in Connecticut, it was, when it was like in the early 80s, and it was very different. There was a lot of competition, and we're all jockeying around to claim our place, and it wasn't always pretty amongst us women. And I thought to myself, I will never work for another woman as long as I live, because I was like, oh my God, it was hard. And however, now, this point in my life, I feel that is not the case. Women are like, okay, that's enough of that, and we need to be supporting each other, and we need to be raising each other up, and be genuinely happy when someone succeeds.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's a very different experience for me now in my maturity.
Yeah, and that's how the evolution of supporting women. That's really how it's changed. I think it's about the team. It's about supporting each other. Yes, and support and celebrating those strengths that women have that maybe I don't have. And that's why Colleen Del Vecchio, she's awesome. And having her come in multiple times. As a matter of fact, I attended my first Strengths Finders session outside of the conference at the chamber, but then she came in to be your keynote speaker in the first session, the first conference.
The first session last year,
right? And then last year, kind of digging deeper, but we've, as a result, adopted Strengths Finder.
I love that
at the bank.
I love that story
because you introduced us to it.
Have you noticed? Has it been in place long enough? Have the women that you've shared, or the folks that you've shared that with, have they experienced that long enough where it's kind of like now rooted?
Yes.
And how does that show itself? It
shows itself in that we're recognizing that we have to capitalize and leverage our strengths and not focus so much on what I'd call, the development items, some might say weaknesses, right? It's
opportunities for growth.
Exactly, opportunities for growth. And that, now when we're building teams, we recognize that we need different strengths on the team.
I love that.
Not like individuals. And sometimes even in conversation, we kind of joke about it. We say, we know that someone's an activator but might not be a finisher, right? Someone that completes the transaction or the deal, and that we say, well, that's why we need Sally, because Sally is the finisher and Joe might be the activator.
Right.
So, and there's more of an awareness.
And do you feel like, I almost feel like it gives us permission to relax.
Yes.
And actually cheer each other on.
Mm-hmm.
And give permission to not be worried about your station.
Right.
Yeah. Because, we all want to progress and to be better, but when you're worried about always looking over your shoulder,
mm-hmm.
and now it's not so much that, it's, as long as you're shining in your arena.
Right. And you're feeling good about the fact
race.
that your strengths are what you bring to the table and that value proposition.
Yeah.
So it's all connected,
I
right?
love that.
That, for example, mine, I'm a developer. I lead with empathy, responsibility. What were my others? Connectedness and harmony.
Oh, I love that, harmony.
Yeah, yes.
I see that too.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes.
Throughout attending the conference, how have you noticed some of the things that we've learned and topics that we've discussed affecting your leadership style? Like, do you think there might be a difference between pre-conference and post-conference? Am I making sense?
Yes. I think that as a manager, as a leader, I think I'm more aware of the needs of women within the organization, whereas maybe I wasn't as keenly aware before, specifically in the area of confidence building. In this whole imposter syndrome. After I brought that back and we talked about it in the workplace at the bank, we realized how many feel that way. So I have a very much stronger awareness of what women are dealing with that maybe wasn't at the forefront before.
Mm-hmm.
Strengths Finders definitely has changed a lot in how we lead, and so we actually have two of our learning and development employees right now certified to help us move us along. So
in Strengths Finders?
Yes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's awesome.
Yes. So
oh my gosh, that's exciting to hear.
So this is all. So I think
Wow.
that's the real change. Is this awareness of what is important and lifting women up and giving them the support. We also have a mentor program too that has evolved as we've gone through this, not just for women, but for all employees.
Yeah. Well, and it does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Branch out.
Yes.
It's interesting, isn't it? You talk about the imposter syndrome, and you talk about, knowing your worth and the value that you bring, and second guessing that all the time. Like, well, I don't want, so-and-so to think this or that about me, and so I'll just, let them take that and let them get the recognition or whatever like that. But it's a, I don't know if it's a skill or if it's an art or what it is, but just confidence in knowing who you are and what you're bringing to the table.
That's right.
And not bullying your way around, because that's not what I'm talking about. But it's a hard skill for women to adapt.
Yes. Yes,
Adopt.
and it doesn't, adopt and adapt to, too, both of them, actually. It oftentimes during my career, it was kind of reinforced coming across maybe a little bit more aggressively, or that you have to we have to be bold, but kind of in that having that very strong, maybe aggressive presence, and over the years realizing that that's not necessary for us. We can be strong and bold, but in other ways, not that it come across necessarily in that maybe what could be perceived as bullying, and kind of that's very strong, approach.
But I also think there's a lot of room for us to embrace strength.
Yes.
Right? And being strong.
No.
And I think being strong is different than being a bully.
That's right.
Right? And then, so how do we help others to know that? How do we help ourselves to remember that when maybe we feel like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be as strong or bold. I'm over it.
Yeah, and when you see successful leaders that are not that way, that are carrying themselves in a strong way, right, and that you don't have to be, what could be perceived as that bullying to be successful. I think that's what's important is to have more women leaders that exhibit that.
Right.
What's interesting also is that as a result of these conferences, I went back to the beginning of my career, coming from first generation. I was a first generation coming from a family that supported me tremendously. Education was so important. My parents made sure that it was a priority for us. But we didn't really necessarily have anyone that had an established career in the family because they were just starting out in this country.
Right.
And so when I was coming out of college, coming into a training program at JP Chase, I felt as though, I'm not necessarily coming from the Ivy League, and I'm not very, maybe I'm not coming from the same background as all of these individuals that are in. There were 12 of us, and didn't have the confidence. And I think I didn't have the resources that you're providing to women today through the conference to have a support network to say, to help lift that person up and say, you'll be fine. And I realized ultimately that I was strong and I very successful in the program. It was hard along the way because I maybe didn't have as much of that support structure as we have today through a women's conference or women's support groups and things like that.
Right.
And over time, I built the confidence, but I did not have it at the very beginning.
Right.
So it reminded me, coming out of these conferences, how we should remember that there are people out there that are just starting their careers that need that support.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's see. So, the conference is a day-long conference, and this year we have a full day. We're going back to our full program, so I'm very excited about that.
Yes. I'm happy about the full day.
Yeah. And we try to make sure that we provide opportunities for network building. And I'm wondering, is there a particular part of the day that you, in that regard, that you look forward to the most, and maybe which is the most meaningful to you, and it has been most meaningful after the conference? Is that too many questions you want to run?
No, I think I've got it. But I think that when we're hearing from the panel discussions, when we're hearing about personal stories, that is something I look forward to, because these are true life stories of women that have dealt with struggles or challenges and how they overcome that, and how the tips and tricks for those that are in the audience. So I definitely look forward to that. As a matter of fact, when we were covering women in the art of risk, and each of the women on the panel were talking about their situations in life where they decided to take a risk, it reminded me, I had when in 2017, it was only 2 years after I had made a decision to shift careers. My entire career, Mo, was in accounting and finance. Yes, accounting and finance, which was wonderful, and I loved it, and came over to BankESB as the CFO.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes, and Matt was very supportive in kind of understanding where employees and leaders' passions are, and I thought about it long and hard because over my entire career in accounting and finance, I've always had a passion about people development, HR-related items, learning and development. And so I said, Matt, I don't always have to be in accounting and finance. If there's an opportunity out there to branch out, especially closer to HR and L&D,
nice.
I would love to do that. And coming out of having made that decision and transitioning into that, and then having this conference come up where everyone's talking about the art of risk,
right,
and how to take calculated risks,
right,
think about the pros and cons, but then say, I need to maybe step out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, and that's where the magic happens.
Yes,
right. I find myself constantly doing that, and I'm like, why am I doing this again? It's like I'm always like, but in the end, that's where I've had the most growth.
Yes.
And the most success.
Yes.
And I would just be so sad if I wasn't challenged.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
It's true, because that's how you grow. And even sometimes, and it's not easy.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's that's the whole part of stepping out of the comfort zone of reaching out and doing things that you've never done before, and then you look back and say, wow, I'm so much better. So going back to your original question of, what do I look forward to the most or think that is most valuable, those panel discussions, kind of the real life exchanges, which are part, and then also the presenters that talk about their experience, and then you think about maybe that tip or that trick that they learned from their experience could help someone else, could help me. And the networking is extremely important afterwards. So I'm glad that you're building out a full day. I think that all of the women that have attended felt like they could invest the day to kind of think about themselves, what can they improve, what can they learn from the day, and then spend time networking and meeting new people in this area.
And this year we're going to be over at Williston, Northampton School.
It's exciting, yeah.
Oh my word! And we're going to be in their newly renovated dining hall, looking out over the pond. Absolutely gorgeous. So it's going to be a really gorgeous day.
Yes.
Yeah. How have you seen the women's leadership landscape change over the years? And what role do you think this conference plays in that revolution or evolution?
Yes. And I think over the years, you've...
we're not the only ones. There's there'll be 4 in a row. There's 2 in April, May, and then us in June.
Mm-hmm. So there are a lot out there. But
yeah.
I think that...
And we're very different. We try not to be. They're all offering great things for their audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it's the connection to the community here, the fact that it's local. I think all the women that's what distinguishes it. But in terms of the evolution of the conference and the evolution of women's leadership, I think the fact that you started broad, women's leadership, the art of risk, and now you're zeroing in on specific areas, knowing your worth, breaking it down into more specifics. I think that it would be great to continue that too, to have these themes where you're, as I mentioned earlier, peeling back the onion on, okay, what is it that women need to feel supported and to learn a new set of skills for their growth and their advancement. Because it's getting more and more complicated for women, even though there's more opportunity. And as you know, over 70% of BankESB is with women, and our leadership team is composed of more than 50% women. So we're advancing. We are having higher level positions and leading, but we need to continue to be supported, to understand what the challenges are that each of the women face as they rise up the ranks. So they're rising up, but now they're there, and it's about
now what?
And what do they need to feel supported? So I look at it as, what do I get from the conference for myself personally as a leader, but then what can I offer to the women that are rising up within the organization? Right. Yeah.
And for me, what I love also about what we try to do is help women understand that, okay, so maybe you're not, you're at another level. You're not necessarily in a leadership, what you would classify as a leadership role, but we're all leaders.
Yes,
we're all leaders. We're either leaders in our home, leaders amongst our peer group, our friends, in your church group. Mm-hmm. There's different layers of leadership, and we all need to be, the world needs each of us to show up, and whatever that means for us.
Yes. I'm glad you clarified that, because we are leaders at all. It doesn't necessarily have to be a publicly known leadership position with a title, but you're a leader every day, no matter where you are, furthering some effort, helping to nurture others, which we're very good at, and to be great in whatever it is that you're doing in the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. Better than we were, just a little bit better than we were yesterday.
Yes.
In whatever that is. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also excited too about our panel discussion this year is money power.
Mm-hmm.
And it's around the theme of know your worth. It's not necessarily, money is powerful or power over others, but there's other, how do you, are you comfortable with money? And what does it mean to have money and power? Right. And does it mean, and then thinking along the lines of philanthropy, getting your agenda done through philanthropy. But you have to have money to do that.
Right.
Right. You have to have some sort of wealth to achieve what it is your personal goal might be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Maybe it's retirement. Maybe it's whatever, travel, whatever. So I'm pretty excited about that too.
Yes, it is. And it is important to be able to, for those that are able to get to a position where they can share their wealth, what an impact they can have. It's
right.
Yeah. And like at the bank, one of, our mission is to unlock the potential of our employees, customers, and community. And it feels so good when we as a bank can impact an organization within the community that can achieve their mission because we help them.
Right.
So I'm excited about that component. It's very different than any other topic that we've done in the past at the conference.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
I'm pretty psyched about that. And I think there's a lot of, and then even just the way that that I'm hoping that the panel piece will go, rather than having the panel discussion first and then questions after, I'm really hoping that it becomes an interactive conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we're moving along in the discussion, I'm going to be encouraging folks to, if they have any questions, to talk about it now and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Right? Who knows?
Right. And so you're leaving it kind of open-ended that way that the audience can drive what's discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone who's considering attending She Leads this year for the first time?
For the first time, if you're hesitating, don't hesitate, because it doesn't matter where you are in life.
Right.
If you're a woman leader at home, with your children, whether you're just starting out your career, you're trying to find your path in life, whether you're mid-career, whether you're a manager of others or an individual contributor, there's going to be, for certain, something that will take place during that day that's going to impact your life and change it. It really does. And I get so much feedback when I come back from the conference about something that...
I would love to hear some of that feedback.
Yeah, we should be sharing more of that.
Yeah, I would just absolutely love that, because it would be really helpful for us as we plan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's. I think it's just they're coming back and saying, Bozena, I mean, I'm thinking about this differently, or I really want to learn more about that Strengths Finders, or I want to read that book, about the imposter syndrome, because I've been feeling that. I didn't even realize there were other people out there like that.
Right.
So oftentimes...
we're running around scared.
Yeah.
Right? You have that inner anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's like, if anybody ever knew, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Mm-hmm. But that's so not true.
It's not.
Right?
It's not.
It's
it's
I don't know where
your
that
internal
comes from.
perception. Yeah.
And why? Why is it that we women perseverate on that? I don't... Where did that come from? Well...
Yeah, it's
right.
maybe just advancement over time, but so there are a lot of positive things that are being said afterwards. So I definitely encourage all women to consider coming and joining us, and then of course the networking piece. Especially valuable for someone who might just be starting out, who doesn't know many people in the community. All the women in the community are there, and many are there, and so you can connect with.
And you know what I love about that piece is that it's relationship building.
Yes.
Right? Because you get this image in your head, networking, and you're like, oh gosh,
True.
People coming at me because they have a pile of business cards, and I feel like that afternoon of network building is different. You're sharing the day. You have a lot of energy. There's a lot of hope and excitement, right?
Yes.
So it's a whole different level of getting to know each other.
Yes, because the women are talking about different topics throughout the day and getting to maybe some more personal situations and sharing, which is not what I would call traditional networking. No. So it is relationship building. It is.
Yeah,
it is
very different.
Yeah, and in our community, building those relationships, having those people that you could reach out to, depending, they might have a strength that you need to lean on.
Exactly.
And
which is a whole different thing than, oh my gosh, so and so is coming to sell me XYZ.
Right. But I want to offer my skill set to you because I can help you out in this or that area. It's extremely valuable. Yeah. More than the exchanging of business cards is nice, but but it's more about learning more about each other, and then saying, you know what, I can offer you this, and someone might say, you know what, I think you might need this in the future, so give me a buzz if you need to just talk about building a certain skill set.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
It's very, very different than the traditional networking.
Yeah. Can you share any success stories of how you have implemented what you may have picked up and learned at the conference in your own career and at the bank?
Mm-hmm. I think some of the things that I've mentioned,
The imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I would say that, but I think the Strengths Finders, I know I go back to that.
Yeah, but it was impactful.
It is because I often remind myself of the strengths that I do have, and the reason why I'm able to be successful is because I draw on those.
Right.
And because I'm mindful of that and aware of that, it actually makes me, I think, even sharper in those areas.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to waste your time in the areas that you're not, because you know someone in your organization who has those other things that can amplify what it is that you're trying to do.
Yes.
Right?
When I was in thinking about, in 2017, in the first conference, reflecting on my shift in career, and then doing the Strengths Finders, the top 5 strengths with Colleen, realizing, wow, that's the reason why I always had this passion, even though I was very successful in the finance and accounting area, and still enjoy that and use that skill in HR and learning and development. But I thought to myself, okay, that makes total sense, that wanting to exercise more empathy and having that connectedness, and having that harmony component more present in my day-to-day interactions makes me feel even more fulfilled than I was before. And I was practicing those things even in the CFO role.
Well,
but
I think too, in your position also as a leader, that those qualities trickle throughout your team and then throughout the bank.
Yes.
Right? And it builds more stronger relationships and loyalty.
Yes.
And I don't use that word, as a sometimes I think it could be like, well, but loyalty to what they're doing, the job that we're doing together as BankESB, moving that mission forward.
Yes.
And coming from the heart as opposed to a
as a genuine concern for others.
Right.
And that is really what my team, the HR team, working with the employees is really a resource and support for others, no matter what's going on, whether it be COVID that we just dealt with in the pandemic and showing our compassion for others and understanding where they're coming from, or maybe someone coming to us and saying, you know what, I've been scratching my head thinking about maybe this is not the job I want to be doing. Maybe I need to look into another career within BankESB. Can you talk me through that? And then this is what I enjoy, is that to see that direct impact on an employee after having interacted with them. And and a lot of it has to do about support of our whole management team at the bank is very supportive of this approach. And so it kind of trickles down. So it's a wonderful feeling. And we have a set of core values for our employees, and actually recognize employees through a peer recognition program where they recognize each other for just their kindness or an act of going above and beyond, one towards the other, respect, or our customer service thing that they did that was above and beyond. And it's not only about managers recognizing employees, but recognizing each other day to day, just a shout out to each other.
Well, I got to tell you, because all of this stuff that goes on behind the scenes, all of this work that you're doing, all of the support, all of those resources shines through when I walk into the lobby of BankESB. I have never walked into BankESB and had anyone show that they were in a bad mood, show that maybe there's a crisis happening for them behind the scenes. They've always been helpful, cheerful. Let me see if I can find somebody who knows better about that than I do. And in moments, it's always a lovely experience. Let me just say that.
That's great to hear. All of this.
I've never felt like I was a burden to somebody when I walk in there.
I'm so happy to hear that.
That's true.
And the conference, while it might not be direct, but it kind of sets the tone for when we come back to the office and think about what do we want to do next to improve not just the situation for women, but employees in general. One of the things that we have done is partnered with a woman by the name of Ella Moriarty in Clarion Coaching, who has introduced the employees to emotional intelligence.
Oh, my word.
Yes. This is just the way I practice, in my work every day, and we have had the employees go through emotional intelligence training, and this whole concept of knowing yourself, choosing yourself, and setting yourself, having this self-awareness about, okay, I might be going through a crisis right now, but how am I going to be towards others? And it reminded me when you said that about how you feel when you come into the lobby.
Absolutely.
Because we're not perfect. No one is, right?
No.
But if you have just a little bit more awareness about who you are and how you're coming across, that combined with the core values that we have really helps to build that foundation that every day when you're coming into work, think about who you're going to be.
Right. And you know what? I'm really excited that you brought that topic up, because this past fall, I don't know if you know or if you were aware, but we have a second conference that we've developed.
Oh.
Happens in the fall, and it's called Ignite.
Oh, okay.
And it is, we structured it, we based it upon innovation, education, and transformation. And last year's topic was emotional intelligence. It's a 2-day conference, 11 to 5.
Oh.
So very different than the women's conference, to fill that void that,
right.
Not everybody wants to come to a women's conference. Why? I don't know, but it's true. And so Ignite was born, and it was emotional intelligence, and it was structured around storytelling. And Bozena, it was amazing.
Wow.
It was amazing. We saw people come in the first day as one person and they left the second day as someone completely different. It was unbelievable. And we ended the second day in celebration of all of our learning. We did a business story slam. And the folks who participated in the program gave their story. And it was amazing. It was like it was as if we were in Boston at the Moth.
Oh, yeah.
It was incredible.
That is incredible. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this.
Yes, I shall share with you, because we're in the process of putting together 2023, and I will keep you posted.
Yes, absolutely.
It'll be just as exciting.
That's awesome.
Yay!
Very good.
So, anywho, so I think, let's see. Is there anything else? Is there anything that what are you looking forward to the most for the Women's Conference this year? The one thing that you...
The one thing, I think that this this whole concept of the value proposition and knowing your worth, just that whole topic is very important for women as they advance. So I'm really looking forward to understanding that more and helping our women that are at BankESB have some more skills around that area. I'm just excited to be able to have more women come to the conference, because we have between 30 and 40 that come every year.
I know. So this will be a new
batch
of
a new
women.
group. Yes, and every year we try to bring employees that might be of the same level, so that they can also have like a bonding experience.
Sure, peer to peer.
Yeah,
so important.
So I think we might be going down to choosing a different group this year that can come together and bond, and it's great that it's going to be a full day.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to that, and just being able to see everyone again.
Excellent.
So,
Yeah. All right. Well, so where can folks find BankESB, and if they need to, where can they find Bozena?
They can find Bozena at 36 Main Street in Easthampton.
Okay, great.
And of course, please reach out on social media to our BankESB Facebook page. Also, BankESB.com is another resource. So, but just reach out. You can find me at 36 Main if you ever want to talk. Looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, Bozena, for taking time with
you.
me today. This was a great conversation. I love the energy that you bring.
And thank you for everything that you do, Mo. You have, when you started all of this with Kathy Anderson, right, for the joint program with the Holyoke Chamber.
Yeah, long time ago.
That it's a long time ago, and the whole program has come a long way, and you've built something that's really valuable to the community. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for saying so, Bozena.
Yes,
I appreciate
absolutely.
it. Yeah. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you'd like to know more about the Easthampton Chamber, you can find us at easthamptonchamber.org. Also, if you'd like to know more about Easthampton Media, they are at easthamptonmedia.org. And if you'd like to have take a look at or listen to past podcasts, either Drop the Mic or Mind Your Own Business, you can find those on the Chamber's YouTube channel, Easthampton Media's YouTube channel, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're everywhere. So like us, share, and peace out, babies. Thanks.
Thank you.